Welcome back to Emily A to Z. My name is Emily. This is Kennedy. This good girl is Kennedy. And today I have my September TBR for you. I have not done a TBR in quite some time, but here we are. I'm back. I'm excited. I have plans. That's Kennedy's butt. Okay, let's jump right in. So I run Magical Stitches. It is a Facebook group that is a reading and cross-stitch group where every year we have a theme or a series or an author and we read books. I create prompts that are related to the book of the month, and along with that we also have 3 different book prompts or tasks as well that are all related to reading, just to have fun and involvement. And you can read, you can only stitch, you can do a combination of whatever you want, but it's fun and I run it. So that will always be in the comments. Here we are. But for the month of September, the book for everyone to read is book number 9 in the Series of Unfortunate Events series, and that is The Carnivorous Carnival, written of course by Lemony Snicket. And this is all about the children. They have escaped from the hostile hospital, Heimlich Hospital, in book 8, and find themselves in the hinterlands because they were brought there by Count Olaf, and navigating the fact that they are now in a carnival and how they can survive. The series is starting to get a little darker. It's starting to grow up a little bit more. The kids are now facing these like moral quandaries and these like gray zones of they want to do what's right, but they find themselves doing things that may not necessarily actually be the right thing, but they find themselves doing it in order to survive. And that brings up those questions of, are we good people? Is this the right thing? Can you justify doing a bad thing because ultimately it will lead to good things? Yeah, it's interesting conversations that we're starting to have. So book number 9 is what everyone is reading. Then the next 3 prompts are open-ended. You pick what you want to read for those. I just decide the prompts. We have a title challenge, and then we have like other challenges. I need a drink of coffee. This is my top of the morning coffee mug that is giant. It is a massive coffee mug. It's as big as my head. I'm drinking a coconut cream coffee with a brown butter chocolate chip cookie creamer. That's just what it is. The title challenge for September is to read a book that has a creature or animal in the title. I am reading The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. I actually don't know if I'm saying her name correctly. This is book 1 of the Raven cycle. I have never actually read this series. I was gifted this a long time ago by my sister, and it has just been on my TBR ever since. What is this even about? I don't know. Let's see. Every year, Blue Sargent stands next to her clairvoyant mother as the soon-to-be-dead walk past. Blue never sees them until this year when a boy emerges from the dark and speaks to her. His name is Gansey, and he's a rich student at Aglianby, the local private school. Blue has a policy of staying away from Aglianby boys. Known as Raven Boys, they can only mean trouble, but Blue is drawn to Gansey in a way she can't entirely explain. He is on a quest that has encompassed 3 other Raven Boys: Adam, the scholarship student who resents the privilege around him; Ronan, the fierce soul whose emotions range from anger to despair; and Noah, the taciturn watcher who notices many things but says very little. For as long as she can remember, Blue has been warned that she will cause her true love to die. She doesn't believe in true love and never thought this would be a problem. But as her life becomes caught up in the strange and sinister world of the Raven Boys, she's not so sure anymore. I don't know. When did this come out? A long time ago? Originally published in 2012. Next, we are reading a book that has been on your TBR for over 1 year. I want you to look at your list, whether you track it physically, whether you have a pile of physical books you want to read, whether you keep track of it on Storygraph or Goodreads or some other book tracking website. However you keep track of those books you want to read, look at the one that's been on your list for over a year. For me, this is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. I was given this by my husband also many years ago as a Christmas gift, and I have not read it, and I have wanted to read it. I've heard so many good things about it. In Shaker Heights, a placid, progressive suburb of Cleveland, everything is planned. From the layout of the winding roads to the colors of the houses to the successful lives its residents will go on to lead. And no one embodies this spirit more than Elena Richardson, whose guiding principle is playing by the rules. Enter Mia Warren, an enigmatic artist and single mother, who arrives in this idyllic bubble with her teenage daughter Pearl and rents a house from the Richardsons. Soon, Mia and Pearl become more than tenants. All 4 Richardson children are drawn to the mother-daughter pair. But Mia carries with her a mysterious past and a disregard for the status quo that threatens to upend this carefully ordered community. When old family friends of the Richardsons attempt to adopt a Chinese-American baby, a custody battle erupts that dramatically divides the town and puts Mia and Elena on opposing sides. Suspicious of Mia and her motives, Elena is determined to uncover the secrets in Mia's past, but her obsession will come at unexpected and devastating costs. I have read Another Celeste Ng before, and it definitely fucked me up. And that was what, I can picture the cover, I'll pop it in. But it was definitely about a little boy whose mother had gone missing or had been taken away, and he was on a quest to find her. Oh, that messed me up as a mother of a young boy. At the time that I read it, my son was the same age as the main character, and it devastated me. I believe I cried at work listening to the audiobook. But Celeste Ng, and I think this has been made into a movie or television show. I am interested in watching the adaptations of the books that I read, so we'll see. Then finally, our last Magical Stitches prompt is to read a book that has been published this year. So we've got one that's been old and one now that is brand new, and I'm excited for that. I have chosen Direct Descendant by Tanya Huff. I love this cover. I think it's really fun. Generations ago, the founders of the idyllic town of Lake Argan made a deal with a dark force. In exchange for their service, the town will stay prosperous and successful and keep outsiders out. And for generations, it's worked out great. Until the visitor goes missing, and his wealthy family sends a private investigator to find him, and everything abruptly goes sideways. Now, Cassidy Pruitt, town baker and part-time servant of the dark force, it's a family business, has to contend with the rising army of darkness, a very frustrated town, and a very cute PI whom she might just be falling for, and who might just be falling for her. If they can survive their own homegrown apocalypse, they might even just find happiness together. It just seems kind of like cozy horror, and I'm down for that. Moving on. So then let's talk about book clubs that I'm a part of. First and foremost, we have a family book club that is just run by the women in my family, which is very exciting. This month, I am the chooser. It is my turn, which crazy. I always get really nervous when it's my turn to pick because I'm like, what am I doing? We have multiple generations in this book club. I've talked about it before. We have everything from my husband's grandmother to my mother-in-law and her sister, my husband's aunt, and then my husband's sister, my sister-in-law, and me. So we've got multiple generations here, and it is fun to see what everyone chooses. And it's always just, what are we interested in reading? Where do we want to go with this? So I have chosen Beheld by Tara Shea Nesbitt. This has been on my TBR for a little while, and I just thought this grabbed me this month. I was like, this will be a good. Just because I really like horror doesn't mean that they will. And sometimes it's hard to know, I would pick a horror book, but sometimes I think it's hard to know people who don't read horror or don't read a lot of horror. I would want to ease them into it, and I struggle. I haven't found a good introductory horror book. When I find that, I guess that's what I'll choose. But we're going with Beheld, the riveting story of a stranger's arrival in the fledgling colony of Plymouth, Massachusetts, and a crime that shakes the divided community to its core. 10 years after the Mayflower Pilgrims arrived on rocky, unfamiliar soil, Plymouth is not the land its residents had imagined. Seemingly established on a dream of religious freedom, in reality the town is led by fervent Puritans who prohibit the residents from living, trading, and worshipping as they choose. By the time an unfamiliar ship bearing new colonists appears on the horizon one summer morning, Anglican outsiders have had enough. With gripping, immersive details and exquisite prose, Tara Shea Nesbitt reframes the story of the Pilgrims and the previously unheard voices of two women of very different status and means. She evokes a vivid, ominous Plymouth populated by famous and unknown characters alike, each with conflicting desires and unquestionable behavior. Suspenseful and beautifully wrought, The Held is about a murder and a trial and the motivations, personal and political, that cause people to act in unsavory ways. It is also an intimate portrait of love, motherhood, and friendship that asks whose stories get told over time, who gets believed, and subsequently, who gets punished. I think this will be a good choice. Other book clubs I am a part of. I am a part of 2 book clubs that are put on by my local library. One is the Read with Pride, and then one is the online reading challenge / book club. It's more, that one's a challenge, they don't have a meeting, but then the book club does meet. The book club is Read with Pride, and the focus is on queer stories or queer authors. Unfortunately, I don't have the book yet. I put it on hold. It has not come. The book we're reading this month is The Price of Salt, originally written by Patricia Highsmith under the pseudonym Claire Morgan. I'm very intrigued by this. Patricia Highsmith's story of sexual obsession may be one of the most important but still largely unrecognized novels of the 20th century. First published in 1952 under the pseudonym Claire Morgan and touted as the novel of a love society forbids, the book soon became a cult classic. Yet it was always relegated to a mystery subgenre and that never before given the literary recognition that it is now receiving. Based on a true story plucked from Highsmith's own life, The Price of Salt tells the riveting story of Therese Bellevue, a stage designer trapped in a department store day job, whose routine is forever shattered by an erotic epiphany, the appearance of Carol Aird, a customer who comes in to buy her daughter a Christmas toy. Therese begins to stalk the alluring suburban housewife who is trapped in a marriage as stultifying as Therese's job. They fall in love and set out across the United States, pursued by a private investigator who eventually blackmails Carol in a choice between her daughter and her lover. What? Like, it does sound so cool. And then as I was digging, I was like, why does this sound really familiar? And there's like, hey, this has also been published under the title Carol. And I was like, wait a minute. And I looked it up. Yes, that movie, Carol, that came out in 2015, starring like Cate Blanchett and Rooney Mara, is this story. It just has never been like marketed as, it has no official price tag as a standalone adaptation, but it is. Interesting. So I'm like, okay, maybe I also need to watch this movie. The next thing from my local library is the online reading challenge. This year, every month is a different genre. I have some issues with this month. This month, the quote-unquote genre is... Kindy is also grumpy about this. She's on my side. Good girl. The like genre this month is young adult literature. And I don't agree with that category in the sense that young adult, in my opinion, is an age group. Young adult literature and young adult fiction, young adult horror, mystery, whatever, young adult is the age demographic. That's who it's meant for. That's who it's written for. Because there are mystery, horror, thriller, sci-fi, fantasy, there are genres of YA literature. So I'm like, I don't like that it's just like, this is a YA novel. I understand they want people to read YA, and I appreciate that. It just bothers me that it's being categorized as a genre when it's not. It's an age group, but it's fine. The book that they've chosen is The Cousins by Karen M. McManus. I have never read any of her stuff, but I do know of her work, like One of Us is Lying. I do know that. I don't think this is connected. I think this is a standalone novel. Millie, Aubrey, and Jonah Story are cousins, but they barely know each other, and they've never even met their grandmother. Rich and reclusive, she disinherited their parents before they were born. So when they each receive a letter inviting them to work at her island resort for the summer, they're surprised and curious. Their parents are unwavering on one point. Not going is not an option. This could be their chance to get back into grandmother's good graces. But when the cousins arrive on the island, it's immediately clear that she has different plans for them. And the longer they stay, the more they realize how mysterious and dark their family's past is. The entire Story family has secrets. Whatever pulled them apart years ago isn't over, and this summer, the cousins will learn everything, if they can survive the season. Bum, bum, bum! So we've got some, like, isolated settings. I think we're going to be going back and forth in time, which is really interesting. Multiple POVs. My last couple book clubs that I'm in are all put on and made by Kayla of Books and Lala. I love joining in on her stuff. I love her channel. She's very inspirational to me. Her and Gavin of Gavin Reads It All inspire me a lot in my channel. So that's exciting. And starting off with her Buzzwordathon and her buzzword cover challenge prompts. In September, the buzzword is to have some sort of event in the title. And so I have chosen The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I have never read this. I was gifted this quite a while ago. I believe both my sister and my sister-in-law have given me a copy of this individually. So I guess I should read it. And what is the, I don't even really know if I know anything about this book, to be honest. The circus arrives without warning. No announcements preceded. It is simply there, when yesterday it was not. Within the black and white striped canvas tents is an utterly unique experience full of breathtaking amazements. It is called Le Cirque de Rêve, and it is only open at night. But behind the scenes, a fierce competition is underway, a duel between two young magicians, Celia and Marco, who have been trained since childhood expressly for this purpose by their mercurial instructors. Unbeknownst to them both, this is a game in which only one can be left standing. Amidst the high stakes, Celia and Marco soon stumble headfirst into love, setting off a domino effect of dangerous consequences, and leaving the lives of everyone from the performers to the patrons hanging in the balance. Okay. So I'm reading this because a circus is an event. Like, you go to a circus to be entertained. Then for the cover challenge, the month of September is to have some sort of foliage on the cover. I have chosen The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. I have wanted to read this for so long, like since it came out, last year, and everyone read it, like everyone and their mother read it. I have been wanting to read this like literary mystery, and then my sister gifted this to me this past Christmas, and I'm pumped because my sister and I usually have the same taste in certain things, so I'm excited to read this. When a teenager vanishes from her Adirondack summer camp, two worlds collide. Early morning, August 1975. A camp counselor discovers an empty bunk. Its occupant, Barbara Van Laar, has gone missing. Barbara isn't just any 13-year-old. She's the daughter of the family that owns the summer camp and employs most of the region's residents. And this isn't the first time a Van Laar child has disappeared. Barbara's older brother similarly vanished 14 years ago, never to be found. So her brother disappeared and then they had her. As a panic search begins, a thrilling drama unfolds, chasing down the layered mysteries of the Van Laar family and the blue-collar community living and working in its shadow. Moore's multi-threaded story invites readers into a rich and gripping dynasty of secrets. I'm excited. I have been wanting to read this for so long. I've just been like staring at it on my shelves. I'm very, very excited to get to this. And then finally, the last Books and Lala thing is, of course, the Literally Dead book club. This is the first year that I have like joined in, and I'm excited. I am behind. I still haven't read July's book, but I actually have it. It's fine. This month is to read a couple short stories, and this is the bind up of The Killer on the Road and The Babysitter Lives by Stephen Graham Jones. In The Babysitter Lives, when high school senior Charlotte agrees to babysit the Wilbanks twins, she plans to put the 6-year-olds to bed early and spend a quiet night studying. But the house is filled with mysterious noises, and soon Charlotte has to admit that every babysitter's worst nightmare has come true. They're not alone in the house. The call's coming from inside the house. In The Killer on the Road, 16-year-old Harper has decided to run away from home. What she doesn't realize is that she has been marked by a very unique serial killer who's been trolling the highway for the past 3 years. So they're basically two novellas. And yes, this is the large print version. I don't care. It was the only version available to me, so I put it on hold and I have it. And that's fine with me. It just means I'll read it faster. No, it doesn't, but... And that's that. That is all I have. No other things on the TBR officially. Hi, editing Emily here. That was not everything on the TBR because I forgot one last book. I do this every time, but that is the Morbidly Curious Book Club. I am participating in that in this year as well, and the book for September is In the Mouth of the Wolf, A Murder, a Cover-Up, and the True Cost of Silencing the Press by Catherine Corcoran. Regina Martinez was no stranger to retaliation. A journalist out of Mexico's Gulf Coast state of Veracruz, Regina's stories for the magazine Proceso laid out the corruption and abuse underlying Mexican politics. She was barred from press conferences and copies of Processo often disappeared before they made the newsstands. In 2012, shortly after Processo published an article on corruption and 2 Veracruz politicians and the magazine went missing once again, she was bludgeoned to death in her bathroom. The message was clear: no journalist in Mexico was safe. Catherine Corcoran, then leading the Associated Press coverage of Mexico, admired Regina Martinez's work. Troubled by the news of her death, Corcoran journeyed to Veracruz to find out what had happened. Regina hadn't even written the controversial article, but did she have something else that someone didn't want published? Once there, Catherine bonded with 4 of Regina's grief-stricken mentees, each desperate to prove who was to blame for the death of their friend. Together they battled cover-ups, narco officials, red tape, and threats to sift through the mess of lies and uncover what got Regina killed. Okay, that is the Morbidly Curious book club pick. They focus on morbid nonfiction subjects. Okay, back. I'm almost done. Let's get back to it. Except I am officially joining the Reading Rebellion, which is a month-long readathon hosted by Mel Lenore Reads. I will drop her video down in the description where she explains the readathon, how it works. I have decided to join in, and Kaden and I are doing it together. We have both picked our respective teams or orders in this case. We went to the library, we got a bunch of books, and we are doing it together. As of right now, he's already ahead of me. It is September 1st, and this kid has already read 2 books. And I'm not frustrated at all by that. It's fine. But we are officially joining in, and I am going to be attempting to use as many books on my TBR as possible for those prompts. Excuse you, she just tooted. It's about to get stanky in here, so wrap it up. But I'm trying to use as many books on my physical TBR as possible, and then I'll supplement as needed. Oh, it's bad. That's all I've got. That's where we're going. I'm excited to be back, to be reading again. My interest has come back. It's good. So thank you for being here. I will see you all very, very soon. Happy reading, happy stitching, happy doing whatever it is that makes you happy doing. Be easy with your arts.